Hey, you guys, welcome to another video. And as always, thank you for tuning in. Really appreciate it. If you haven't figured out by now, we've kind of been offline somewhat on YouTube, at least for the past week. And that was because YouTube decided to assign a strike on this channel for speaking about a certain topic, which I'm not going to mention here because it's irrelevant to what we're going to be talking about today. But however, we've been active on our blog, which is journeymanandwoman.com, and also on our Odyssey page. We've uploaded a couple of videos there as well. And of course, even on Threema in our hotline group, we've been posting a whole bunch of things there. So we've stayed pretty active and been watching a lot of the headlines and things like that. So this week you'll be getting a lot of videos and clips and stuff like that, just some of the topics and stuff that we've been on top of these past week or so. So anyway, I just wanted to give you a heads up on that. But today in this video, I want to talk about this whole Olympic controversy with the, supposed to have been a retelling of the Last Supper, Leonardo da Vinci's painting of the Last Supper, and how Christians all over the world, Bible believers, got really pissed off about it, which I can understand why. I get it. However, as we go through this, you're going to see that as much as it was offensive to many people, we really have to ask ourselves, was this historically accurate in any way? I know that sounds ridiculous in me saying that for many of you, but I think you're going to want to hear this. Okay. I think you're really going to want to hear this. Okay. So we're going to get right into it. So let me first start off by going to, because there was some question initially that, this wasn't really about the what you call it, the Last Supper. He was actually doing something else or whatever. Well, according to the rap.com, they actually spoke with him and the Olympic officials, and they're saying, yeah, he was in fact pulling from Leonardo da Vinci's painting. And here's the article right here. We're not going to read the whole thing. We'll just read part of it. It says, Paris Olympics producers say the Last Supper inspired that opening ceremony scene. Many have done it before. And it says the ceremony's designer, Thomas Jolly, meanwhile, says his inspirations was Dionysus, the Greek god of wine and pleasure. You want to make sure you keep that in mind, bookmark that. And by the way, there's supposed to be Dionysus right here, and in the background you see the supposedly the disciples, so to speak. And I guess this sizable white woman with the it's supposed to be like a halo-ish thing around her or his, who knows, head. I guess that might be Jesus. We don't know, because everything's kind of been redone here. Okay, real quick, I just want to add this in this video here. As you're looking at right now, this is the original Leonardo da Vinci's painting of the Last Supper. And the thing about a lot of these older paintings is that they just had so many different meanings in them. There were hidden messages, just all kinds of stuff in them. And especially Da Vinci, Da Vinci especially was well known for this. I'll just give you an example right quick as we kind of page through this right here. What you see on your screen here is, how these different disciples were all represented by different deities, that are matching like these Roman symbols and all of that. And then all three of them, if you notice, they're grouped by three. They represented by the different times of the year, the different seasons of the year, and all of that. There's all kinds of things that people have said that's in these paintings and in this particular painting. But they all center around, it all pulls from the same source, which is like either Greek or Roman mythology. And so this is where Leonardo da Vinci, he was pulling from. And so you will also see in later paintings, not so much the Last Supper, but what I'm going to show you, I'm just going to run through a few other ones real quick here to show you some of the similarities. This painting here, let's see here, is called what is it? The Banquet of the Gods. and this is by Hendrik von the Elder Ballin. And this one was done a little bit later than the original Da Vinci painting, but they all follow some of the similar patterns. And it's, even though the Da Vinci painting was done the earliest, they all pull from the Greek gods. This is something I want people to understand. And you remember in this video, I'm mentioning the fact that even though when you go back to the, what you saw done in the Olympics, you saw those like trannies and all that stuff up, all these trannies that are supposed to be represented. A lot of people thought were representing the 12 disciples. Remember, they weren't pulling from that. It wasn't, even though they say it's the Last Supper, it's really pulling from this right here, which was because, again, the Olympics is a dedication to the 12 gods and goddesses of Mount Olympus. It tells you in the name. The Olympics isn't a Christian track meet. It never was. It was all about the Greek gods and bringing them honor. So, it's kind of a duality that's going on here. So this is what they were really pulling from. And that's, this is just one example. This painting came a little bit later than the Da Vinci, as I mentioned here. But as you can see here in this painting here, you see they all butt naked and playing and all the revelry and all this. Now, this matches perfectly the characteristics of, I want to say Bacchus, but that's the Roman version of Dionysus. Yeah. And so, but you can see it's just a lot of the nudity and, very heavily sexually, charged, as you can see here. Here's another one here. This is the Feast of the Gods. This one is done by Cornelius von Polenberg, and this came in 1623. So again, a little bit later than the original Da Vinci painting. Same kind of setup here, long table. You have all the deities sitting up here. You got some of them naked. You even got the little cherubim, dancing around and all of that. Still keeping the same kind of context here, So that's another one. Here's another. This one I didn't even know. I forgot this. I was actually looking for this, but anyway. Well, actually, no, I wasn't. Okay, so this is from by Giovanni Bellini, and this one is also the Feast of the Gods. This was done. This is probably done not too long after, So you had the Da Vinci painting, and then after that, I would say this probably came a close second. And so, as you can see here, same kind. There's no table, but the concepts are still there. Okay. And so they have the different gods and goddesses names there. Let's move on. Here's another one here. This is by Michelangelo Maestri. Hope I'm saying that right. That came a little bit later. Same concept. You got the long table and you got everyone butt naked. Okay. So same thing. And again, it's giving honor to the gods and goddesses of Mount Olympus. That's what this is all about. Here's another painting. This is by Hans Rodenhammer. Sorry. And same setup, long table, everyone but naked. Okay. Here's another one here. This is by Antonio Varillo, and this is in 1600s. Same thing, long table, and you got all the gods, goddesses, nudity. Same thing. And then I have one more here. This is the Feast of the Gods. Let's see here. This is, I think, okay, they said the Duke commissioned two leading painters from Venice, first Giovanni Bellini, and then later his former pupil Titan, to depict bacchanals or revelries with mythological themes for the study. Let's see, this was in 1500. Let me see here. And so here it tells you right here, it says appropriate to the classical theme of Olympian deities enjoying an outdoor banquet. Okay, this is Bellini. Okay, so again, this is them coming together. There's no long table, but this is all the gods coming together. and they're eating and celebrating, and you got one over here, then she ain't got no clothes on. So I just wanted to show you what the Olympics, what they were actually pulling from. And this is really what they were pulling from. So when it wasn't, so when you think of the Last Supper, were they pulling from that? Yes. Did they say they were pulling from that? Yes. But you also have to understand that the Olympics in of itself is a dedication to the 12 deities, the 12 gods and goddesses of Mount Olympus. So these are the paintings really that they're sourcing that from, all of that you saw earlier. This is what they're really pulling from. And so that's why they had the trannies and all that up there, because, this is what they were about. This is what you had up here. So I just wanted to add this so that you can have even more context. Last thing I will add too is, if you're not subscribed to our research group, I would highly encourage you to do so, because we actually go much deeper and then in this video here, because there's another thing about Dionysus that you got to know. I was going to include it in this video, but I just said, you know what, let me push that over to the research group. And when you see how deep this thing really is, you may think I'm going off on a tangent, but man, this thing really opened up some doors, at least for me, because it was stuff I didn't even know as far as Dionysus and the impact that another Dionysus had on time itself. Really, really interesting. So we actually uploaded a video for our research group. Go check it out if you're interested in that. Go to the front of our to the membership section of our YouTube page. Click on that, and I have a video there telling you how to join. It's very simple and easy. You get access to about 200 books. You get access to PDF files, research papers, all kinds of great stuff there. So check that out. And yeah, there's the video I did on here. Wow. I was like amazed. I was like, I didn't even know that. So anyway, check that out. I just wanted to add this, and let's get back to the video. Anyway, let's get into the article. We're not going to read the whole thing here. It says the scene in question featured a line of drag performers posing shoulder to shoulder on a Parisian bridge before turning the bridge into a fashion-forward catwalk. Later, the same queen celebrated over a meal where the dish was revealed to be nearly nude man painted blue. Many, including Jolly and the official Olympic Games X account, said that the scene was an interpretation of the Greek god Dionysus that made us aware of the absurdity of violence between human beings, which I kind of don't get that, but you'll see why in a moment. I don't know how they just kind of threw that in there. But anyway, others, including a statement from the Paris 2024 producers obtained by the Rap Sunday, said it was in fact inspired by Da Vinci's famous painting, a skewing of the religious imagery that has been slammed by the Christian right as a mockery of Jesus Christ. For the festivities segment, Thomas Jolly took the inspiration from Leonardo da Vinci's famous painting to create that setting. Producer said in a statement, clearly it was never an intention to show disrespect towards any religious group or belief. Yeah, right. Okay. Jolly is not the first artist to make a reference to what is a world famous work of art, from Andy Warhol to The Simpsons. Many have done it before. I guess they're quoting from the official statement there. The scene caused a disturbance on social media where conservative political leaders from around the world blasted the display as blasphemous, blah, 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 right? So they go on, right? But let's go jump to our page on our blog, which is journeyman.com. And we've been, like I said, again, we've stayed active on there. We've been posting different things on there. And this is a post that I did on it. I called it an Olympic lie status checkup. And so basically, I would play the video, but from what I understand, that they took the video down, and anybody that posts the video, I think platforms have been taking it down as well. So, but we have it uploaded here on our blog. And if you want to watch it there, you can watch it over there. Okay. So we do have it if you want to watch it, if you care to. But anyway, so basically, number one, we're going to get into this whole setting here. So let me go back here again to this page. To the page, the Rap. Okay. So this gives you a kind of an idea right here. Okay, better yet, I have something even better I can present here for you. Let me bring it here on the screen. There you go. Okay, so just get in, this is going to give you a better idea of what's going on here, okay? Because there is some history here that has kind of gone over a lot of people's heads. Number one, the Olympics is a Greek festivities, right? And it was dedicated to the 12 Olympians. All right. The 12 Olympians, those are the 12 gods and goddesses of the Greek pantheon. Okay. And but when you look at the whole story, in the Bible about Jesus and the 12 disciples, what people have to understand is that wasn't a unique thing to have this person who claimed to be the Son of God or the son of a God and have 12 followers. You got to understand this story. Basically, I'm talking about the biblical story now. You're looking at I want to say BC 2 to 1 and to AD 1, around that time frame. This is where the whole Jesus narrative was birthed, okay, during that time frame. Okay. But what I'm going to point out to you is that it's that narrative, that story was actually pulling from something that came much older than that. Okay. So there's many stories regarding Jesus, and I would even say there's many stories in the Bible that actually pull from much older accounts from other mythologies. Okay. But this one in particular, that's what we're going to talk about. So I believe in Egypt as well, they have this whole mythos that involves like 12 disciples or 12 followers or whatever. And then, but Greece also had their same thing. Okay. What you see on the screen here, and I have all the names and stuff. I'll get those later. Right. And so this image here that you're looking at right now, this is put together by the YouTube page Myth Vision. Okay. So I'm giving them credit for that. I didn't put this together. So on the top here, you see, Leonardo da Vinci's painting. You got Jesus and the disciples. There's 13. Okay. Jesus is in the middle. They're counting Jesus as well. The Olympians, these are all the Greek gods and goddesses that sit on Mount Olympus. It's 12 of them. Okay. Not 13, but 12. All right. And then what they were presenting was 12. So when you look at what they were presenting in the Olympics and compare it to the Olympians, right? It very clearly that they're trying to portray that all of these trannies represented these Greek gods and goddesses. Now, if you want to say there was a perversion that took place, I would say that, if anything of the story, the Greek story, making all of them like LGBT, that one could make an argument for that. However, if you've ever taken the time to read a lot of Greek mythology and read about these gods and goddesses, they were freaks too. You know what I'm saying? Not all of them, but many of them were. So it ain't that far off. Okay. So anyway, but here's the thing that I really want to pay attention to. All right. So what they presented was 12. Well, who was the 13th? Who was the 13th individual? It was this blue guy. All right. Now let's talk about that for a second. Now, this blue guy, we actually did a video on this in the past. Okay. Let me bring that up on the screen here just a moment. And this is going back to our blog. Right here. There we go. Our blog again is journeymanandwoman.com. And here's the video that we did here. It's about 2 hours long, and it's titled Eat My What? Drink My What? The origins of a particular story. And in this video, we talk about the Greek god Dionysus. All right. And Dionysus, when you read that story, when you read the story of Dionysus, you're going to find a whole lot of similarities between Dionysus and Jesus. Now, right there's going to be many of you who are going to hear that and say, oh, see, the world can copy. What they did was, see, these people, they copied off of Jesus. to bring confusion. No, let's back up for a second. No, I would argue it was the other way around, because the storyline of Dionysus, it starts way older. All right. And I even created a chart for you so you can see on our blog all the similarities between all of this. I mean, once you get through the chart, it's like, okay, wait a minute. Okay, clearly they were copying off of these folks. And so what you'll see is the story of Jesus Christ. I said four. I think my first estimate that I gave you was probably more narrow than this, but they're saying between 4 BC and 6 AD. Okay, so that was like the approximate birth date. Now the story of Dionysus, they said the prominent worship was started from the 7th century BC, with roots potentially as far back as 1500 to 1100 BC. Now that's going way far back. Okay, so and here's some similarities here. Birth date of Jesus. Again, they said born to birth of Jesus was born to a Virgin Mary. When you read Dionysus, born from Zeus and mortal Semele, there's some similarities. It wasn't a virgin, but there's a little. It's kind of there. Okay, but as you can see here, Jesus was the son of God, right? Well, Dionysus was the son of their supreme god, which was Zeus. Divine announcement. Angels announced Jesus' birth to shepherds. And then Dionysus' divine nature often revealed later in myths. Okay, let's move on. It says, let's skip here. Let me go here because it just put together a whole bunch of stuff here. Okay, here we go. Early life protection. Family fled to Egypt to escape Herod's massacre. In Dionysus' case, raised by nymphs on Mount Nisa to protect him from Hera. Let's go here. Okay, turned water into wine. Dionysus, that's Jesus. Dionysus, he created wine, transforming water into wine during rituals. Let's see, fed 5,000 people. Of course, that's Jesus. Dionysus is known for providing food and drink with his divine powers. Where Jesus walked on water, Dionysus, he could control natural elements such as causing vines to grow. Let's see, the Last Supper, institution of the Eucharist. There was a celebration. You had the wine and then you had the bread, eating. And I go into much more detail on this. This is just a rough sketch here of this chart here. But this one I go into eating my flesh, drinking my blood, where that came from. When you talk about that whole thing, that actually Dionysus worship, there was a part of what they would do in the temple is that they would literally eat raw meat. That was a way, in drinking blood, that was a part of them dedicating themselves to Dionysus. It's not captured in this chart, but I go into that in the video where we get into more details on that. So this chart doesn't bring out everything here. Resurrection. Rose from the dead on the 3rd day. Likewise, resurrection, let's say symbolic rebirth representing the cycle of life and renewal. If you take note, Easter is celebrated in the springtime, which represents renewal or rebirth. Likewise, Dionysus, springtime is a reflection, according to Greek mythology, is a reflection of his resurrection. Symbols and themes. Wine is a symbol of his blood. That's Jesus. And then Dionysus, wine is a central element in worship and myth. And so there you go. So those are some, but I would really encourage you to take a look at the video where we really go into a lot of great details here. Now, I'm not saying that the story of Jesus exclusively came from Dionysus, but what I am saying is a lot of it did. And so, and you'll read, because when you look at the history of the New Testament was written by Greeks, obviously, right? And it was written in Alexandria or in Egypt, and so they pulled from a lot of things. They pulled from Egyptian culture. They also pulled from their own culture, and they blended it together. So that's what you got there. Now let's talk about, so let me go here. Let me see. And another thing here I want to share with you. Okay, let's go here. Okay, so just some a little extra here for you to check out here. So the 12 disciples, or the 12 gods and goddesses that sit on Mount Olympus: Zeus, Hera, Poseidon, Demeter, Athena, Apollo, Artemis, Ares, Aphrodite, Hephaestus, hope I'm saying that right, Hermes, and Hestia. All right. These are the 12 gods and goddesses. Now, if you notice down here, it says in some accounts, Dionysus, the god of wine, pleasure, and festivity, replaces Hestia among the 12 Olympians. Now, this is very important here. Okay. Very, very important. Now, Hestia, just to kind of give you an idea, Hestia was a goddess known for, home life. She was known for providing warmth, taking care of the home. It was about peace. She was about, I'm trying to think of some other things here. The domestic life, just very chill. I'll just put it in that terminology. She was a very chill goddess, being hospitable, just kind of along those lines, right? Now, when you get to Dionysus, he was on the other end of that spectrum. Dionysus was about partying and getting down and just everything about that. He was very just out there. You know what I mean? He was about partying. He was about drinking. He was about revelry. He was about all that stuff. All right. So he was the direct opposite. So the question is, why then did the Greeks go from, using Hestia and then later on switching to Dionysus? Well, that was representative of their culture at that time. What was happening during that time, it was a reflection of their culture. When you look at these different gods and goddesses, in this case, we're talking about Greece, but it's Rome, it's whatever culture. Their gods, the deities that they worship, often will reflect their own culture. So if this was a culture that was in the values of that culture. So if the culture was about war, they had a god of war. If the culture was, wanted to make sure that, their agriculture was on point, they had a god of agriculture. If they went, whatever. The things that were important to that culture, they usually they created their own deity for those different things that they thought was very important. And so, but it also reflects the changing of the times, if you will, that was going on in Greece in this case, because Greece was moving from being domesticated, being all kind of chill and all that, whatever, right? That was one part of their culture, to all of a sudden now it was about, we conquered everything. We want to party. We want to do all this stuff. And so that's why you see Hestia being replaced by Dionysus. All right. In later times, you see, all of a sudden now Dionysus comes into play. So Dionysus is really a reflection of the changing of what was going on, right? However, like we just said, Dionysus, as we pointed out earlier, is also was what was the story of Jesus, or the Jesus narrative. A lot of it was actually being pulled from the story of Dionysus about, like I say, eat my flesh, drink my blood. I'm the vine, you're the branches, any references to wine or the vine or whatever. A lot of those things can be traced back to Dionysus or Bacchus. That's another god in the Greek world. And so getting back to this, without going any deeper than that, what was being presented here was actually a true representation, if you will. Is a little bit more accurate than what people are comfortable with, of Greek mythology and how it ties to the Bible, I know people are offended at that, and are offended at the fact that, this is something I believed, Jesus has nothing to do with that or whatever, but your belief doesn't replace fact. You understand? I'm not saying Greek myth is fact, but it is, in the sense that these are stories that they wrote that we actually have documents of, and goes back thousands of years. I'm not saying it's fact in real life. I'm just saying it's fact that's documented. What's also true is that the Jesus narrative pulled from these things. I mean, that's the only way you can conclude. Why would Jesus come to this earth and literally do everything that Bacchus or Dionysus did? I mean, the exact same things, changing water into wine, telling his disciples, eat my, if you want to, remember me, eat my flesh and drink my blood. And, and all the references to wine, and even the crown of thorns, they're loosely based on how Dionysus used to wear it was like a wreath on his head, right? Well, the crown of thorns is some callback to that as well, to a certain degree. And so you're going to find, so what you have to understand is the Bible, it contains a lot of stories from different, they call it syncretism. It's pulling from different mythos, different belief systems and all of that, and it's putting it all in one book. And so the thing that people have to remember when you're talking about the Olympics, for example, the Olympics is really a celebration or paying homage to Greek gods. That's at the end of the day. And some people, how you feel about that on a personal level, that's up to you. People look at it. You got some people who look at it just for the mere athleticism. They like seeing the competition and things like that. Other people, like this guy who came up with this whole presentation, well, he sees the much deeper meaning of it. And of course, when he presented that, he got the blowback that he was going to get. And I'm sure there's no in the world he's shocked or surprised at this at all. But I really think, and this is why I titled my my blog post on this, an Olympic lies status checkup. I believe that this was just that. It was just a way of these powers that shouldn't be. They just went to see just how deep the belief is on the Jesus narrative. And so by throwing this out there, they were able to see, oh, it's pretty deep, because a lot of people lost their minds off of this. But if you take an honest view of history, you're going to see the actual truth of it. And like I said, for a lot of people, that's very disturbing, because your belief up until this point in your life you've allowed it to override what's documented truth and documented fact and documented history. And so it's time for you to start going beyond just mere belief, and begin to pay close attention to what we actually do have documented. And I'm going to tell you, once you begin to start looking at that, it's going to really open your eyes, and it's going to shock you, but it's time to wake up. It's time to wake up out of this matrix system. So I hope you got something out of it. Very interesting story, but it's something that it deserves a more, a much closer inspection than just a knee-jerk reaction. So that's what we try to do here on this particular video. So thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you got something out of it. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Take care.